Well, hello, it's John Neal here, and it is Tuesday the 25th of March 2025, and I've got some news for you. I've made a bit of a discovery, and that is if I stick to power level 1, I can get a huge mileage out of the battery, because power level 1 seems to only use up half the battery power as you go along, and that seems to be quite adequate. Currently I'm on 55%, which means I've used 45% of the battery, and I've actually done 26.5 miles. So if you buy one by the other, you get whatever you get. So just putting some miles on and see how far I can get on this one battery. What sparked this off was there is a tendency when you've got an electric bike to have sort of battery anxiety, thinking, wherever I go on my bike, will the battery last out the distance? So you're always wondering how well it's going to do, particularly if you start doing a few hill climbs, which really saps the battery. Just started off the other day with the battery on level 1. Power level 1, and it seemed to be fine. I'm doing it now. There's no stretch at all, and yet I'm only using half the battery power as I go. So I thought, well, let's keep it at this for a bit, see what happens. And then I did 15 miles and only used 85. We went down to 85% battery, which means I'd only use 15% battery for 15 miles, and that's the simple maths, which says that's 100 miles on that battery if I only stuck to level 1. And I thought, well, that's incredible. So I'm a bit of a hill here, getting on over this old railway line, and to be honest, just to go up here, there you go. That's not a problem. In fact, it gives me a bit less of a conscience of thinking, well, I'm on an electric bike and it's all very easy. You put a little bit more effort in, but not a huge amount. So I can coast along on just power level 1 quite easily. And I think this is going to be interesting, because I think I'm there for 100 miles on one battery. That's crazy. I don't think it's going to be that, but it's going to be high. It's certainly going to be more than 80 miles on one battery by using level 1 most of the time, and that is quite doable. So I'm quite interested. I've got to get some more miles on. This isn't going to be a long video. I'm just telling you what the outcome is going to look like, but I've got to do a few more trips to make up 80 odd miles in total.
As you'll see, this was hopelessly optimistic, because I think the battery indicates not much usage when it's quite full, but the end result was pretty good, but it was only half of that.
I've done 27 so far, and I've used up 54% on the battery left. That's 66. No, sorry. 46. Maybe it's going to run down quicker in the middle, don't know. We will see. Let's see what the number is at the very end. Meanwhile, it's a bit grim today, but let's carry on. Basin Bridge Lane, which is right next to the canal. You want proof? Well, there it is. Which is very nice. One car just went past. There was somebody reported when they tried out an electric bike, it was an Estarli as well, and they said, how do you get on with the battery and the power levels? And he says, oh, I just stuck it on 5 all the time. Well, that's just cheating. That's silly. But what I will say is, I think I'm glad I've chosen the E28.9, which means it's got 9 gears. Do you want to see them? Of them. Because if I'm just using power level 1, it means I can, and you'll hear me clicking through the gears as I go now. I can use the gears very effectively to make the ride comfortable for myself. Right, I've got a little bit of a hill here, look, as I'm coming to this bridge. So I'm going to go on power level 2, which means I'm just and then up and over an old railway line bridge as well. See, everybody's waving and being nice and kind, which is lovely. So this road just loops round past the canal, about a mile away from, if that, from home on the hill, and goes back along a little bit of a boring straight road down there. Although, I tell you what, it's quite useful for flying the drone, because on one side of the road there are no trees whatsoever. So just get 1 or 2 miles in this afternoon and see if we can make this battery last as long as it can. But I'm quite optimistic about this, because I'm still on level 2. I thought I was flying along a bit. Right, back to level 1, which is good. Level 1 is absolutely adequate for what I'm doing anyway. Generally on the flat and occasional little hill as well. Level 1, fine.
Well, that's the end of this first trip, where I'm trying to work out how efficiently I can use up a whole 100% of the battery. And at this point, I've gone 30 miles and I've used 55% of the battery, which means, remarkably, the whole 100% of the battery would get me 54.5 miles. But that's a bit optimistic, I think. Here I am on the next day, trying to see how many miles I can squeeze out of 100% battery on my E28.9 Estarli electric bike. And for the most part, using just power level 1 and occasionally power level 2. And of course, many a time just coasting along, not using the battery at all.
Right. So what I think I must do is see if I can see the rate of battery use, or the mileage for the battery use, on different points down the battery, because I'm not sure that could be completely linear. Maybe when the battery was 100% charged up, that it was more efficient, I don't know. But it seems to be in the middle section here. I'm on 45% now. Look, as you can see, 45%. And I've done 30 miles. Well, if you divide 30 by 55, you'll get the mileage if it was 100% at this rate. So that's 54 miles and a half actually. But I'm not convinced that's going to be the complete accurate. But if that's, nevertheless, around 50 would be absolutely excellent. So I think the thing to do is to take snapshots of the ratio of the miles done for battery use all the way through. Maybe I can do that to give some idea of how linear that is, or whether the battery needs more to get me through on power level 1 through the whole range of the battery. Not sure, but the total will be interesting anyway. Yeah, let's see how we go. There's also a question of how the temperature that we've got, and it has gone milder. I went out last week when I first got the bike, and it's quite cold, and I got a feeling people have said that the battery isn't as efficient in the cold, but we'll see. And of course, the terrain is important, and I would just cycle around the lanes and roads I know around here, and there's 1 or 2 hills, but then you gain on the hills because you can coast down the other side without using the battery at all. So in some ways that shouldn't matter too much. But yeah, power level 1, occasionally power level 2. I am finding in my elderly years, how old am I? What year are we in? I'm 73, 74 this year, and power level 1 seems to be doing me fine. Right, let's press on. This is where the graffiti is. Look, I'm not going to make a thing of it now, but it's really quite good stuff. Look at it. Look at this. You may or may not have realised my other YouTube channel, which ran for about 10-12 years, was to do with sign writing, so I'm very interested in all this artwork. I think it's pretty good. Right, let's press on, and we'll see how this little experiment goes. I'll just stop for a moment to tell you this. I do like bumping into people in the street who watch the videos, and it's all very local now. I'm riding around near Nuneaton, a few miles out, into the countryside and the villages up South Leicestershire, and I do bump into people who've looked at the videos, which is great. It makes a connection with this sort of community. So if you do see me out and about, say hello. Just spoken to Frank and Linda on the Wellington walk here. They say they've come up from London about 5-6 years ago, I think, and yeah, discerning folk. After all, Nuneaton is the centre of the universe, so they've made a good choice. And they found the videos that I'm making useful, to give them some information about what's out and about. And I think they found this walk along the Wellington Way from what I did. But there is plenty to find out, and I enjoy doing it. So, and thanks for 1 or 2 pieces of advice. People have said, oh, you must go and check out this or that or other places. So I've got a little list that I am making to go to some of the locations in the area. So that was great seeing lovely people. Frank and Linda, welcome to this area, although they've been here a little while now, and yeah, it's good to see them. Right, here we go again. Right, I'm filming and riding alongside the canal at the same time, which is a bit dodgy, so I won't do too much of it, but there's no one here, and it's quite a good pathway along here. It's been, as you can see, it's been maintained, so that's not too bad, and there's no one else here, so I think I'm okay. I've just come across one of the parks and was flying the drone, and it was doing its as it was told, following me from the side. There's a lady there. She thought I caught a bird. I've not had anybody say that before now. She thought the drone was a bird, and I plucked it out of the sky and it was well trained. But I had to tell her it wasn't that. Oh, nice one. Hello, mate. I'm basically putting some more mileage on the bike to get through this battery. It's gone down a little bit more. I've got a feeling the middle section of the battery use goes down a bit quicker. There we go. Morning.
Alright.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Ta-da. Yeah, I was saying, I think the battery level goes down quite quickly in the middle section, because I've only just set off, done about 3 or 4 miles, if that. I'm down to 38%. So it's interesting to work out the statistics of this battery and how it works, and how I can get the most efficient use of it for distance covered. But I'll say again, the E28.9 on level 1 power assist is quite adequate. I'm zipping along here a good 12 miles an hour, no problem at all. Well, I've reached my destination, and I've visited my sister and brother-in-law, which is about 7 miles away from where I live, here in Bedworth, where I'm at. So now I've got to get back home, and the distance is 6.29 miles, so just over 6 miles to get back. I've got 27% battery left. I've done 39 miles so far, so that works out. I think I've got 13 miles left in the battery, and I'm hoping not to get any battery anxiety. So we'll see. And I have to confess, I have, on a few shots along here, actually turned the battery off completely, just to make sure I'm okay. But yeah, interesting. I'm going to get at least 45, maybe 50 miles out of the battery in full charge, which if you're careful on power level 1, is quite possible, quite doable. Right, I'm just going to go back now. So thanks for watching this video on the battery efficiency, and we'll see how we get on. And yeah, you'll see me next time. Okay, bye bye. Oh, I'm home. Final verdict: 45.5 miles per battery. And to be honest, yeah, I mean, some of the times I wasn't using the battery, but going downhill I wasn't using it, or if I was going 16 miles an hour plus, I wasn't using the battery. And sometimes on the flat I just turned it off altogether. So yeah, 45 miles, just over 45 miles on one battery, if you're very careful. Oh, I have to say this much though, when it goes down to the last 10%, the battery sort of has a bit of a wobble, and 5%, it was only giving me about a quarter of the power, as if it was saying, oh, it's all too much, can't do any more. Poor old battery, but did well in the end.